Welcome to the BCG Lounge at MWC in Barcelona for our LinkedIn Live event. Today we're focusing on closing the gap between AI hype and AI value. And to do that, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Aparna Khurjekar, Chief Revenue Officer of Business Markets at SaaS at Verizon, and Val Elbert, Managing Director and Senior Partner who leads BCG's North America telco business. Welcome to you both.
Hi, Georgie.
Val, if you don't mind, let's start with you. Just give us a kind of high level. AI seems to be evolving at tremendous speed, but how are businesses using it now that's fundamentally different?
Yeah, thank you for that question, and it's exciting to be here again this year. The year of AI, that's what everybody keeps saying. And when we talk to a lot of the CEOs, we hear maybe two main themes. One is we've been investing a lot in this, and we're expecting to continue to invest even more. The second is they have yet to see major value. So companies have been investing. The value has not really flown to the bottom line, either in terms of new products and services that have come out or major sources of profitability. So they're still waiting for that magic moment for AI to deliver. The other thing that I'm very, very excited about, and we'll talk about it some more, is advancement in voice. 2 years ago when GenAI first came out, it was all chat-based, so it was all interacting through keyboard. This year, in 2024, we've seen just tremendous growth in voice capabilities, whether it be on the consumer side or the business side. So the possibilities of what you can do with AI has just grown tremendously. We're very excited about that.
As a broadcaster, voice is always a bit nerve-wracking for me. Aparna, what are your views on this?
Listen, AI has not been new for businesses like Verizon. In fact, we've had AI for over a decade, and it's been foundational to our operational and value efficiencies. We've been taking structured data and really creating models, intelligent models, both predictive and prescriptive, to make sure that we've got predictive analysis on who's going to churn, or make sure that we've got a lot of propensity models on what to sell to whom, or then recommendation engines or chatbots. So we've got a lot going on. But what's happened now is really this mega trend of Gen AI. And that's the transformation, and it's come really in twofold. One is really the technology advancing to a place where Gen AI is here. A couple of things there. Number one, unstructured data. You called out multimodal. We're starting to take a lot of real-time human-generated data to make decisions. Number two is these models are starting to reason, complex multi-step reasoning. They're starting to do a lot of problem solving, and most importantly, doing deep contextual analysis. We love that. So think about it. AI was a tool. It's now a partner. The other piece of it is we've been working really in big ways to get data together. I call it confederation of data. And what that is doing is essentially we've created across all the different aspects of data throughout, and you can imagine Verizon's got data. We're a data company, so we've got data in the network, we've got data about the customers. We're pulling it all together and making sure that we've got context, we've got standardization, we've got contextual engines working on it, and that's the fuel that's really running AI and Gen AI in big ways. Last but not the least, and I'd love your thoughts here, I think culturally there's an acceptance.
Yes.
All the way from the board to the front line. No longer is someone thinking this is taking away my job. It's actually going to elevate the job, not eliminate it. And that has been really good to see. So all of this coming together has been massive for Verizon, and we're really excited about the possibilities.
Yeah. Let me pick up 2 points that Aparna shared. One is the data. I love the point on data because that is the difference between companies that see value in AI versus the ones that are experimenting. So the experimenters, they do a little proof of concept on the side, show the possibility, but never integrate into the data infrastructure, so they're never able to drive real value. The ones that do win, they're the ones that have the data infrastructure set up. It's all properly wired. You can plug in real customers into these AI programs and opportunities, and that's what really creates a ton of value. So that's fascinating, and not surprising that Verizon is ahead of that. The second is on the people side. Our surveys, and when we talk to CEOs, suggest that people are interested in AI. They want to learn. Some are scared by what it can accomplish, but the majority, they want to be part of the AI economy. Companies are investing massively in upskilling, and that's going to create a much more healthier dialogue within a company about what AI can do. So I'm just excited that we're now a couple of years in, and people are still excited. They're still excited to learn.
I want to pick up on that, because as we're talking about this gap, there is a gap between the winners and those that perhaps aren't getting value from this. And you've explained there about data, about experimentation, all this sort of the culture as well, I think is vitally important. But surely that's not a culture that is accepted universally across the workplace. There will be some people that are frightened for their jobs. Some people perhaps might not be on board with this. What sets out in both of your minds the real winners and that are going to take that forward for sustainable victory?
Yeah. Let me start, and then I'm sure our partner will build. What is very interesting to me, and perhaps somewhat counterintuitive, is that with AI, actually less is more. So the winners, the companies that are driving a lot of value and seeing the benefit of that, they're focusing. They have 3, 4, 5, 6 major use cases that they're doing, but they're not sending dozens and dozens of different engineering projects off. They're picking those battles, and then when they do, they go deep and very, very broad. So in our study, the winners so far, they have 3 or 4 major initiatives, and companies that are struggling, they talk about 6, 10, 12 different programs that they're doing. So to me, what that means is that CEOs and CFOs need to be able to look at their leadership team and say, we're going to do these 3 things. Everything else will have to wait next year. So getting used to saying no is a big part of the AI machine, because you can just do so much with it. There's so much potential, but the discipline, it needs to be there.
That is so true. And I'll go back, Georgie, to the mistake I personally made as a leader as I started off on this journey with AI. You've got so many solutions and so many options. You feel like a little kid in a candy store. Well, I can do that and I can do this. And there's the safety in the pilot. So you start a pilot. I'll tell you, at one time, I had, no kidding, just in my organization, 3 places where we were piloting with different solutions, the whole call summarization and what it could do. And what we realized is within those silos, we were getting a little bit of lift, but we quickly hit a wall. We quickly hit this scaling issue. So really what's needed is to your point, picking what is really important. What is it? AI for the sake of AI doesn't make sense. What is the end goal you're going to, and meaningfully making those changes in your processes, your people, and your systems to go there. And what's helped us is really kind of a 3-pronged approach. I talked about the data already, a scalable data layer, which can really help fuel the rest of it. The second is an orchestration layer. Companies like Verizon, what we're doing now is literally think about Lego blocks, building blocks of AI ML models, building blocks of agentic solutions, as well as automation schemas that we can be applying very quickly. And last but not the least, having that integration layer where we can pick a lot of these, put them together, and integrate them into our processes and systems the right way. All of this has to be worked through a governance model for ethical AI, removing bias and making sure that you've got the privacy of the customer, especially for a company like Verizon, prime in the center. So doing more of a step approach and a layered approach has worked really well. It's brought the scalability, the speed, not to mention the efficiencies in the implementation.
Yeah.
Can you give me some more detail about some of your, you spoke about use cases, but what you're doing at Verizon to capture AI value? Just give me a bit of a flavor.
Yeah, how long do you have? This is a place which, again, we've gotten started and it's been really exciting. So across the board, we're a network company. So we've been using AI to take millions of data points and really deciding, we spend billions of dollars every year in CapEx on the network. So really deciding where to invest that for maximum ROI, bringing the right value to that customer and to Verizon is important. So we see that in network across both the investment as well as the operations. You can extend it into every function, including marketing. We're starting to use the GenAI aspects in creating the actual materials for marketing as well. But perhaps for me, the most exciting piece of AI and Gen AI is in sales. Since I run a large organization, a field and inside sales, my 4,000 reps today are equipped with a partner, as I was calling you, versus a tool on AI. And what we are doing is making sure that the entire sales journey is set up the right way. So let me give you an illustration. My sales leader, the rep of yesterday, would get up in the morning and be searching on the internet on who they need to be reaching out to, or perhaps they got an interrupt via email on someone who was seeking some help. Today, when they wake up, they have a AI-driven, what we call a single pane of glass, where we are telling them highly curated, contextualized leads that they've got to go call, and we suggest they call. How are these leads coming into being? Well, we've got 40 different sources of data, massive amount of external data we're pulling together, over 75 million contacts on 9 million businesses, and we're telling that individual locally who they should be calling or who they should be reaching out to. We've increased our open rates from 25 to 1 to 4 to 1 with just that. If the rep so chooses to connect, well, they can script a personalized email now through GenAI. They can push that out, and a whole AI sequencing takes over. And it's tracking the responses, providing nudges, making sure they're doing the follow-ups, and even scheduling the meeting. So that's pretty cool. And as we start getting into the meetings, we now have a Customer 360, again with AI, which is creating the right pitches, asking for the right strategic questions that this rep can then be bringing to that customer. We have now AI within what we call our info manager. So all the data we have about Verizon and the services and products, through natural language, my rep can ask questions to the system and get a whole bunch of responses, again curated for that customer. And once that customer is ready, we start putting nudges on, perhaps you want to upsell this. Maybe this customer is propense to do that, ask for this. And we create an AI-generated quote that could be accepted. We're seeing the acceptance rate improve by 30% just with this. And then the journey starts from there for that customer for nudges. And the most interesting piece of all of this through call summarization, what we're doing, Georgie, now is making sure that we are up-leveling and upskilling my rep. So we're doing a lot of training with the data, not just using the call summarization for future posterity's sake. Lots of work happening. And you may ask, like, is this all helping? And I was calling out, we've got to think about the end goal. So we've been measuring rep productivity. And what I will tell you is in the last 18 months, we've got an 18% rep productivity improvement just by leveraging these AI tools. And we've just gotten started. This then continues into customer service, and we're doing some amazing stuff with virtual agents. So there's a lot of work happening and so much more we can be doing. It's just starting to scratch the surface.
Yeah. Let me pick up a couple of themes here because the story is fascinating, and I think it has many of the key ingredients of a successful AI deployment. I think one, and what you said, Aparna, is so powerful. Everything is centered on your seller. So everything is built not just, hey, I want to build a tool. No, it's about the seller, their journey, their productivity, and their ultimate enjoyment. The single pane of glass is so important because employees are inundated with all the tools, all the information. Putting it all in front of them in a single pane of glass, critical key, because if you don't have the infrastructure to do that and you have to open another window or another app, that's just not going to get enough use. Putting it all in a single pane of glass, that's the key. I would also say, with the thing that I talked about earlier, voice, that's the next step here, right? Instead of them training with an infoman, what if they could create an avatar of our customer and do a, hey, I'm going to prep a sales call. I'm going to spend 5 minutes. I'm going to design an avatar. That customer is going to give me all the questions and pushbacks. I'll prepare for it. And that's going to be the sort of the AI-enabled agent at its best. The next stage of that, we're going to get into agentic. Let's say you're your rep has 20 accounts that they want to call. The next 15 they don't get to during part of that day. What if they had the agent do a warm call to pre-qualify them for a specific opportunity, to tell them a little bit about their usage and get them interested? Then that just expands the power of what they can do as agents. So that's the next frontier.
Yeah, looks like my IT team is going to be busy for the next couple of years. Absolutely, I agree with that. And I think there is a lot that we can be doing in terms of just ensuring that we keep building. It's iterative. We learn, we grow. Even the single pane, the way it looked 6 months ago is drastically different from today, because even the single pane is learning what it is that the reps are using and not using. I'll give you this funny context here. So we talk about adoption of AI. And one of the things we do whenever we launch any tool or any dashboard is all about usage, like who's using how much. And we said in this case, or in the case of our homegrown proprietary tool for a lot of the consumption from the outside on customers, let's not measure the usage. But just out of curiosity, 1 month into the launch of the dashboard, I'm like, let's just see how many people are using it. It was 89%. And I'm like, well, that's high, but where's the remaining 11%? Why are they not using this? Sure enough, they were either on leave of absence or new hires who had yet to get started and were not yet on their seats. So what that means is the adoption is almost, people are wanting more of this. We keep talking about the science of selling, which is what this AI is starting to do. And the art of selling is where we're starting to get our reps. All the time that they're freeing up, we're using to make sure that they're bringing meaningful connection with that business, making sure that they're selling more of the advanced solutions, ensuring that they are learning and upskilling and innovating in big ways. So we're wanting to make sure that that science is married with the art to create magic. And really that's what it's about for sales.
It sounds like, yes, a lot of work, you're doing a lot of work, but you've also described it almost quite straightforward, success after success, it's just coming, but there are pitfalls and you need to avoid those pitfalls. And sadly, a lot of companies are not avoiding those pitfalls and assume that's why they're not replicating the sort of success that Aparna is seeing.
Yeah, I think what is true about Verizon and their journey is that they've been investing in this for many, many years. This is not just something they woke up in 2022 and said, hey, we need to be in AI. So the fundamental data infrastructure, the fundamental approval cycles to accelerate this, so their CFOs are well equipped and they know what's coming, so they're not going to be surprised by it. And then most importantly, it's being able to create and spell out that vision. Again, I keep coming back to what I started with earlier. If all you're doing is experimenting and trying to see what you can do to eke out a few percentage points of productivity, you're going to struggle. It's about fundamentally redefining and reshaping a function, as Aparna described. It's about taking a seller of yesterday and say, tomorrow your day is going to look very different. Let me tell you why. You're going to wake up, you're going to do things differently than you have been doing, and we're going to design that journey for you from start to finish. We in BCG, we call it reshaping. That is the key, because if you're trying to eke out a few points of productivity, invariably you're going to be disappointed because you're not going to see the uptake, 89%, wow. You're not going to see that. You're going to be in the 20s, and you're not going to eventually be able to get the case to scale it to the next set of use cases.
Aparna, what are you doing at Verizon to avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah, so we've got a couple that we're learning from. Number one is really keeping the customer smack in the center of every decision. So when you talk about virtual assistant, it seems really plausible that X% of all workloads in customer service should be managed and diverted to virtual assistant. But if a customer is just not ready, we can't force it on them. So there is definitely that human element. The other place the human element comes in, and I'm sure you're seeing this in a lot of places, is the human in the loop. And we can't pull that out because even for every campaign that we provide to that rep, they know in reality what's happening in the field. Perhaps there is something that they know more than the individual because of all the context they have. So keeping that human in the middle is really important, and we're making sure that even though AI is making a lot of the suggestions and recommendations, the final decision does come to that human. We're bringing out a lot of the cognitive load, but the decision's got to be theirs. So that's the second thing that we're doing. The third is, even though we're doing so much with the data, it's not all together as yet. So think about call summarization, and we've been talking about this and trying to figure out how to solve for just that side conversation I can have with you, Georgie, and say like, hey, when are you buying that next service from me? Which isn't captured, and it's a gaping hole in the data that AI is using. So how is it that you are able to bring in as much as possible and fill in the blanks the right way? That's important too, and we're still learning. It's still very early in the innings.
Val, BCG's research says 10% algorithms, 20% data, 70% people. As Aparna pointed out, why is the people, well, she pointed out beautifully why the people side of it's so important, but for your perspective, why is the people side so important?
Well, I think the failure mode that we've seen in a lot of places is technology hears a need, they build something, they throw it over the wall, and they expect it just to stick. And again, when we're talking about technology that reshapes a function, that explains new use cases in a way that it becomes very, very powerful, you have to have the change management aspect of that. Machines are great, there's certain things they can do, but getting people, whether it be sellers, customer service agents, marketers, to behave differently today than they did yesterday and even more differently tomorrow, that's where that 70% comes in. We believe that change management, designing use cases, training is critical. I'll tell you one example of an engagement that my team has been involved in. We were creating a new set of capabilities for a call center. We built what I think was a fantastic use case, fantastic experience. But the key to the success, and everybody sort of reflects on that, was the fact that we sent our engineers and our consultants to the call center itself. 2 weeks before technology showed up, they took a training. They explained all the capabilities. As the call takers were using this technology, they were standing behind them and pointing out, well, this is the opportunity here. This is what you didn't know about. This is how you can enhance your experience. So that change management aspect and continuously evolving human in both in the loop on decision making, but also in the loop on changing the function, that's going to be critical. And that's also part of the beauty of this technology. It's not something that can work on its own. Humans have to be involved in bringing it to life.
That is so true. And Val, one of the things around change management is the biggest mistake we can make is retrofit AI or any automation tool into an existing process, because it was done this way yesterday and it was successful. So really, AI needs to be about rethinking and reimagining with AI versus I do it a certain way, let me now get it better with AI. And that the majority of the successes we've had have been in places where we've allowed us to rethink and redesign processes and systems.
That's right.
Val, I want to move a little bit beyond this into kind of beyond telecoms even. The AI trends that are shaping industries beyond that. What are you seeing?
Well, so we talk about sort of productivity, we talked about reshaping, and now I'm going to talk about invent, DRI, within BCG. One of the things that I'm very, very excited about is multimodal. So we talked about voice. What we're now seeing in video is just fascinating. So there's a lot of new technologies that have come out in the recent months that allow you to not only create voice, text, pictures, now they're getting into video. So think of the opportunities within marketing or within training to create in the same prompt, hey, I want to create a video that shows exactly how a customer should plug in this device in their setting. In the past, you would be able to shoot one version for one device. Now you can say, and I want it for this spreadsheet full of devices. Create a custom video that shows exactly what needs to be done and how it's going to happen. Like, the potential of that is just going to create so much more use, and it's going to completely reinvent and change new possibilities. So we're very excited about voice. We're even more excited about video.
I have to ask, you mentioned agentic AI. Just remind us, what is it and where's it headed, do you think?
Yeah, so think about agentic as a way to start connecting a lot of the GenAI or AI solutions together into a workflow. The easiest way to explain this is if you have a customer who calls in into customer service today, AI will tell you the right things to tell them. GenAI will possibly be able to take their voice, decode it, create the immediate feedback, and suggest accordingly. What agentic can do is really take that trouble ticket, go into the records of that customer, understand really what could be happening, provide a suggestion. Again, the human in the loop can say, I like this suggestion, and do the follow-up. So it's like essentially taking all these different AI solutions within a workflow, connecting them together so that those could be executed with minimal interference or responsibility coming to humans. We're very excited about it. Simple steps have already started. Once we've activated a customer, making sure that we've got an automation flow. And remember, this is not completely automated. We still have humans in the middle. That is ensuring that there isn't a problem, that the customer turns up the device, that the usage on the device is right, that the network, if you have a fixed wireless access device, the network is doing okay. If there's a problem, making sure that you read what the problem could be and be able to surface that for a new device or a different product or a price plan. So that's how agentic is starting to evolve. But really, it's about taking something which was a tool yesterday, an assistant tomorrow, or today, to in the future being someone who's literally a worker working with you, but with minimal oversight.
Yeah, we're very excited about that as well. And I love how you framed it. It is taking something that used to surface insights to now being able to act on those insights. And in doing so, I think it unlocks a lot of possibilities, not only to scale the operation, but if you take it from the employee's perspective, if you're a seller, you love being in front of the customers, you love talking to them. You probably hate coming back and doing all the back office work to script the order to have it go through. Well, now you have agents who you can feed that insight, and they will do those things on your behalf. So we expect that with agentic, you'll see both a lot of gains in efficiency, but also a lot of improvement in the worker productivity, as well as worker satisfaction, because it takes away that toil, the mental load of doing the things that you hate. We can now see a lot more agents performing on your behalf.
I could talk to you both for so much longer, but final question has to be to you, Aparna, first, before I ask you about where to go next. But in terms of whether it's agentic AI, whether it's Gen AI, what are some practical steps that companies can take to get real value from this, to scale up, to get real value? And I suppose, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned on your journey?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest thing to do with AI is to make sure that it is aligned with your goals. Top line goals, your cost goals, your efficiency goals. Where do you want to be? Number one. Number two is make it about the customer and the employees rather than AI for the fascinating. I'm a technology geek. I love to pull in every and all solution on AI, but I've got to make sure that it's serving a purpose for that customer and the employee. I think those two things are really important. The third, as I called out, is take a much more consistent and scalable approach. You can go fast only to go slow later on, or you can go slow initially, pick a few things. I loved what Val said, pick 3 or 4 areas, learn, and then be able to apply them into multiple places. For me, it's been a journey. We're learning a ton about humans, about the systems, about the processes. And all that we want to do is make sure we keep it very iterative. My biggest goal is to build AI for the people, by the people, that keeps enabling and enhancing them versus throwing something out there and then hoping that that sticks. So it's been a fascinating, great journey for me and for us, and I want to continue building on it. And the new technology and solutions, and I got an idea right here, we're just going to take each one of those and keep building on them.
And finally for you, Val, what's the biggest mindset shift that you think leaders need to make to really take advantage?
I think many leaders have been in the industry for a number of years, and they've probably seen technology fads come and go. This one is staying around. This one they need to keep front of their radar, part of their budget. Your CFOs definitely need to allocate some, and then that discipline to be able to say no, not to chase every news announcement that will come fast over the next decades, but to pick their swim lanes, pick their focus, and then go hard after it.
Val, Aparna, what a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Georgie.
Thank you, Georgie.
And thank you for joining us too. Until next time.